So ladies and gentlemen, today my name is Washington Sati, and also I'm the Regional Program Manager for Disability Rights Fund. So Disability Rights Fund supports organizations of persons with disability in Africa, also Asia, Pacific, and also the Caribbean. And my session today, I being the moderator, we are focusing on global implementation of accessibility standards. So yes, we have many countries that have policies. They have the law or the legal terms that guide them, and which we shall share today with the panel which we have here with the experiences on access to technology. And also, what are the best practice that can be implemented, or what best practice we can pick from here. So as you all know, on the issue of technology or digital accessibility in the disability space, on the area of education and also economic empowerment, truly, there is a very big gap. And also statistics plus research has already been undertaken, and greatly 80% of young people with disability or youth with disability lack accessibility to inclusive digital or technology. So what does this mean? This simply means that there is a very serious gap. And the 20% are the people who can be able to access, but still, there's still room for improvement. So the 80% are the people who are stranded, and that is the reason as to why we are all here today to discuss on matters of education. How can we ensure that those people who are visually impaired, how can they be able to screen read? How can they be able to follow up with captions? How can we get assistive devices that can also help the learners during the education? Because we have recognized that in the traditional method or model, the model of learning was not providing accessibility option. And all can agree with me, and even from the speakers from the panel will also explain, like, how can we best move forward, or how can we now focus ourselves moving forward. And truly this platform, the question is all platforms which we have in the digital space accessible for students with disabilities? Truly there's a great gap. And in the modern world, the e-commerce, like, we should also check this space. How can it be accessible to youths with disability? So we have already had youth with disabilities whom themselves, they are content creators. And how can we ensure that these platforms can be usable also to them? Remember that we have accessibility challenge. I really know that time is not on our side. So with me on the panel here, we shall offer, the panelists will be able to offer the experience in different countries. So I have 3 panelists here, so you just be seated. So I'm going to start with Malin Rygg. As also you'll introduce yourself, please, kindly can you explain to the audience that in Norway, we have a public and private partnership for inclusive technology, and how does it work in Norway? And what is an important message that you can pass out to the audience? Now, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. It's really good to be here, and it's incredibly inspiring to hear all the stories and all the experts and the competence that are gathered here. So I'm so happy to be part of that. I head the Norwegian Authority for the Universal Design of ICT, and I've been doing that for 12 years. building this up as a government entity from the start. And in Norway, the requirements for the WCAG standard, which the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which I'm sure you know, has been part of the law since 2013. And that, of course, built on the thought that to participate in society, we all need to meet the demands that society put upon us. And if we can't meet the demands, the gap that has been described occurs. And you can either have individual support in skills or in assistive technology or other help, or you can have society as a whole lower the demands to participate. And that we can do through different ways. In Norway, we have that through enforcement procedures from the government. We do inspect Norwegian websites, apps, and self-serving machines, and we do have the possibility to issue fines. We have done a few times, for instance, with the SAS airline a few years ago, and also with the University of Bergen, one of the big universities in Norway, had an exam that had different texts for blind and dyslexic students than others, and they were fined for that. So we do have enforcement, but we also have a very big emphasis on guidance, collaboration with the private sector where the innovation lies, and also with the user organizations and civic society as a whole. Because I'm strongly a believer of this as a societal change that we have to do all together. And controls and audits, which we do, is not enough to make that cultural change. To include everybody, we need everybody to understand why accessibility matters, why it's important, and what everyone can do to move this forward in the right direction. So the collaboration between government, private sector, user organization, and civic society as a whole is imperative. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that powerful insight. Thank you very much. So I'm really much excited, and you say that whenever someone does not comply, that there's a punishment for that. So that is a really great point. And most government have policies and have programs which are related to persons with disabilities, but a mechanism of punishing those people who are not complying is not there. But that is a very good insight that we can take from you. My next speaker, who is Daniel Montalvo, he's really much experienced on WCAG. And also works from the W3C. So also, as we also remember that we have low resources places in Africa, and resources is really a challenge in Africa. So what can you really much explain according to your experience?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, to those who are organizing this conference. It's greatly moving to listen to these testimonials and stories from people. And it's a proud to be part of this. W3C, so proud that you've once again invited us to participate. I think in a lower resource context, there's several things that we could do as W3C. But first, let me just briefly introduce us a little bit. W3C, that's the W, the number 3, and the letter C stands for World Wide Web Consortium. W3C was founded in 1994 by Tim Berners-Lee. And as the name says it all, we do web standards mainly. In terms of accessibility, we have the Web Accessibility Initiative, that's WAI, and we do accessibility technical specifications, but also we do outreach materials. So one of the first things we have traditionally done, we should keep doing, is create outreach materials that reach every people. You don't have to have a very qualified or expensive or whatever device to get to those. Just plain text resources that everybody can read, regardless of the device that you're that you're using, regardless of the connection that you have, regardless of the environment you're in. So we do have a bunch of those. There's, of course, accessibility fundamentals, where we explain what accessibility is, what's the relationship between accessibility, usability, and inclusion. We provide tips for organizations to include accessibility in their everyday tasks. We also have tutorials more oriented to developers, designers, and web creators that teach how to include accessibility, how to build accessibility, basically, on the web. Lately, we've created the web accessibility curricula, which is, once again, in a low-resource context where training is essential, having that kind of a baseline to instructors who may not be very familiar with accessibility, or those who are already familiar with accessibility but are not specifically familiar on how to teach accessibility, having the baseline, what should be taught, how, and suggesting materials to be able to teach accessibility properly is once again essential. We finished this work, I think it was 2 years ago, and it's already available. Again, this is mainly plain text. There's of course videos that you can watch, but the resources are in plain text. Another important thing that we are conscious about at W3C, and we're striving to improve, is how to enable participation from broader audiences, from different contexts. That's traditionally been done through membership and through invited experts. So members are organizations who participate fully in W3C. They can have their own employees in different working groups. But we also have invited experts whose knowledge we duly appreciate, and thus we provide them full access to the working groups they're interested in. We're exploring other ways in which, through maybe different types of membership, people can contribute fully to the work and are not restricted by a low income or low resources. So that's pretty much what I have to say. Just as a connection to probably the next thing, one other thing is, of course, being able to have the resources in your own language. We're promoting translations in W3C. We're eager to receive new translations, and we would support efforts in that regard, but that's probably for later. Thank you very much.
Yes, a big applause to him. Daniel Montalvo, thank you for your contribution. So I will go back to you with one clarification, but for now, I want us first to move to the next speaker. So, Dr. Sachin Pavitran. So what I will really like you to do is also share with the audience today, maybe either 3 or what you think, what are the quick wins that can be achieved within the next 12 months or so. So, on to you, Dr. Sachin Pavitran.
Thank you. So with the work that we do at the U.S. Access Board, being a regulatory agency, our primary role is to write technical standards for the built environment, transportation, information communication technology. So all the work that when it comes to writing technical standards, writing regulations, takes a very long time, sometimes a couple of years, sometimes a lot longer than that. We can't always wait till the regulation is finalized. So it is important for regulatory entities or bodies to work on ways to provide guides or provide technical assistance with the research that you have found along the way. We work a lot with public, with getting feedback from the public to understand where the barriers are. So when we are working on technical standards, we are working very closely with the general population, the stakeholders, which includes the public, people with disabilities, and also the industry. So the three big wins that I've seen that has been successful for us is the technical assistance that we provide along the way while we are providing the technical standards, the training that we provide, which goes along with existing standards and guides that we have, but also making sure that we have a buy-in from the enforcement entities, which will then be able to enforce without getting a lot of pushback because they've been part of the conversation from the start.
Oh, really, thank you very much for your insight. Thank you very much. Appreciations to Sachin Pavitran. All right, so I'm going to move to Malin and also share with the audience also three top barriers to implementing the standards related to education and employment. What are the barriers to implementing this and how can we solve them?
Well, I think firstly it is awareness and knowledge, which is a big topic because it relates to all parts of the value chain, if you could say it in that way. It's from the ones that buys the system, it's the ones that implements the system, it's the teachers, for instance, or the employers that use the system, because it's very important to have accessible and inclusive technology, which of course is the first key, but the second is also that it's inclusively practiced, which we, for instance, saw in our report of Norwegian schools, which is a big barrier that teachers don't know enough about inclusive use of technology. So awareness and knowledge, I would say, and then of course, I think it's important to have clear requirements with a clear enforcement when it does not work. Because I think mostly businesses, teachers, employers want to be inclusive, but we also have sometimes costs or other things that gets in the way, and it's very important that there is some kind of mechanism to follow up on moving along also those who do not see this as valuable, like from the first get-go. So that would be, I think, the main barriers that we've looked at from our perspective.
Thank you very much. That is really excellent from you. Now, finally, I want to go to Daniel. Yes, WCAG, it's on an international level, but how can we localize these standards with Africa, with the context, with the situation, with the relation that we're having, and with the network that we are having? How can we localize these standards? To Daniel.
Oh, thank you. So we are improving our translation process. We used to have some people in the staff taking care of that, but we now have one staff person who is doing translation support. So that, in essence, that we're already doing that. That will help translators get in touch with this person, resolve the problems, the issues that they may have, and get questions answered and support through the process. So that will help. We're hoping in order for these translations to be more successful. There's two translation processes that we are currently maintaining a W3C way. The first one is like a lighter process for outreach resources, like the tutorials and the others that we just mentioned. And the other one for WCAG, which I guess that's the one you're more interested in, is a little bit more involved because it implies an official W3C review. But basically the processes are the same. There's three stages in each of these. The first one is manifesting your intent to translate a given resource. You'd send an email to a mailing list saying, I'd like to translate this and that resource. We double check that there's no ongoing effort just to avoid duplication of work. And we just send an email confirming your translation. Then you do the translation. That will depend on how the resource is structured, but basically it all ends up being just committing to a GitHub repository these days, mostly. So you do the translation, you get support from our dedicated staff person. And then thirdly, there's the review process. As I said, depending on what the resources you're translating, the review process is going to be like a simpler, lighter review process, or it's going to be an official W3C review process, which will be in the case of WCAG, because WCAG is a technical specification.
Great. Thank you, Daniel Montalvo, for that. And also to the panelists, thank you very much. And normally, how I usually love to finish my session, I know it's my practice that I provide time for also the audience to ask questions. But I know time is really running. But let me provide this moment to the audience. Does anyone have 1 or 2, 3 questions? Maybe I throw it back to you. Any comment or question? The mic, please. Someone can provide. Okay. We're having a microphone there. So anyone who would like to throw a question? Oh, yes. We have someone here.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Anil Jaggi, and I am from India. This is the first time I'm attending this Inclusive Africa conference. My question is with Dr. Sachin. Mr. Sachin, you said that you you born and brought up in India, and then from Dubai to US. Are you still in touch with Indian journey of empowerment of inclusion? Or do you think that there's a difference between the different assistive technology in what USA is offering, what India is offering, though India is also very committed about the technology part. But I believe that assistive technology is not up to the level. We are running a school, we are running inclusive education in India. And most of the students coming to us is intellectual disability with autism, ADHD, Down syndrome and all. But still we are struggling to offer any assistive technology solution to them. And my purpose coming all the way from India to Kenya is this, that I should learn more about this and I should take back some solution from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jaggi. Before I provide the platform to Dr. Sachin, one more question, please. One more question. I'll take one. Yes, we have someone at the back. Yes, there's someone at the back.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Grace Naiga. I'm the Executive Director at UGANET. We are a social justice organization in Uganda. I am also a mother of an autistic child, so I'm very much interested in this space, and it's my first time in this conference. I will relate my question to the submissions made by the Honorable Judge of the Court of Appeal of Kenya, when he mentioned that Kenya is progressive and it has a Disabilities Act that was enacted this year. It's really challenged me because when I look back at home, but also this may be the same situation for the other African countries, we are not as fast in terms of that kind of legislation and the policies that are progressive to give support to caregivers, but also to the community itself. So my question is, how do we move probably the member states of the African Union to come up with protocols that would force them or compel them to put in place laws that would ensure that there's legal protection for the caregivers, but also for the communities? Because I know for most of them, the laws are not up to date, but also those that are up to date are not implemented as they should be. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I can see we are having hands raised, and I really know that time is not really on our side, but we can continue to have this discussion later afterwards. So Yes, we have 2 days here. We can be able to contact each other or consult each other. So, okay, let me pick the questions and first go to Dr. Sachin Pavitran. I know the second question is about to enforce on matters policies. This is on Africa, right? This will be taken by either between Malin and Daniel. Let me start with Dr. Sachin Pavitran.
To answer the question about, I'm not sure if I understood the complete question, but as far as assistive technology, how it's being implemented in India versus US, I haven't really kept in touch with what assistive technology is looking like in India. That's something I do have an interest to really understand what the work is going on. But I do want to put a comment about technology. I know there's a lot of conversation about technology during this conference, but we do have to always remember technology cannot always be the answer for everything. I know technology is critical in everything that we do, but literacy is also equally important. As a blind person, I think it's important for any blind person to learn Braille, for example. It's also important to be self-determined. So while technology is critical, there are other pieces that goes hand in hand. But I do like to talk to the individual after this from India so I can better understand the question you're asking.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Sachin Pavitran. Any contribution that you would like to make?
Daniel, would you like
Daniel and Malin?
No, I pretty much second what Sachin just said. No more contributions.
So, yeah, with the law, it's above my competence about the African law system, but at least I think it's very important that countries come together and try to look at this from a broad perspective. Also, maybe draw experience from what has worked and not worked in other parts of the world, like Europe, because technology is, as we know, it's cross borders, so the legislation has to be as well. So I would, a multi-stakeholder approach and also across border would be my advice. So.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Malin. And yes, I really want to add to what Malin said. We have the Africa Disability Protocol, which was passed, I think it was 1 year ago. And I think this protocol is really excellent and efficient, providing a framework of organization of persons with disabilities and also the actors in the disability sector, what they can leverage on. Because under the African Union, we have a framework that has mechanisms in which we'll monitor the implementation of the Africa Disability Protocol. They can use those mechanisms to ensure that whenever questions like the questions which were raised to be solved, not only Africa Disability Protocol, and also we have the Africa treaties which are also there, which can also be used to enforce, to ensure that persons with disabilities on areas of digital accessibility, they're also considered. Because also the CRPD is really clearly emphasizing on accessibility of persons with disability. Also, that's another framework that also we can use to pursue to achieve that. With that, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to really appreciate my speakers and also appreciate you all in sign language. Let us do it all in sign language. Yes, do as I do. But I was told that we have an inclusive clap. Okay? This was sign language, but we have an inclusive clap. Let me do it. So you do as I do. All right? For me, that's okay. Okay, so can we do together clap? Clap, then tap on your shoulder, then yes, wave around, wave around. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you, my panelists. Let me pass it back to the MC.
Thank you so much to the panel. Round of applause as they get off stage, please, ladies and gentlemen.